are now fully engaged, consulted, and heard. Government leads the process, communities drive the change, IGAD facilitates and supports. We have been trying as government to make sure that we reverse the trend, but in a very small manner because the adverse effects of climate change were already biting the population. This project is going to add value to the greening plan we had for Kotido municipality. The future of Kotido is moving towards sustainable development, where we have grass, where we have trees flourishing, and we shall have rain. Hence, we have water and we have pastures for our animals. The issue of fighting for resources sooner than later because of this project will be history.
All the adaptation, approved practices, and technologies must take place on land. We have the land
on this. You know, wherever we went, we kept hearing people saying the African Development Bank is not for us, smaller communities, local government, and so on. You guys talk in the billions. Greg Greenwald, 6.5 billion. Desert to Power, 20 billion. All manner of things. Then what about us? The smaller communities, the civil society organizations. So the Africa Climate Change Fund was therefore established in 2014 to mobilize grant resources to help African countries strengthen readiness and project preparation for accessing climate finance. So it was not just 10 projects have been successfully completed and 21 are currently ongoing. Today, in these side challenges facing our continent, we therefore continue to call on current and potential donors to contribute, enabling us to expand the fund and meet the growing needs from African countries. I thank you and I look forward to a very rich discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Nyong, for those opening remarks. And again, hello, can you hear me? Is it better now? Hello, is better. Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much, Professor Nyong, for the. No, it's off again. Can you help us with the. Hello? Okay. All right. I hope everyone can hear us. Thank you very much, Professor Nyong, for your opening remarks. And I think we are trying to give you a sneak peek into the main menu. And so it's my pleasure at this point to invite four outstanding panelists who bring a wealth of experience and diverse perspectives in the area of climate action and who are also recipients and really partners of the ACCF. Kindly help me welcome Miss Faith Jikunda. She's a communications director at the Inclusive Climate Change Adaptation for a Sustainable Africa, ICASA. Faith is representing the voices of women with disabilities to actively participate in climate change policy and negotiations. Welcome, Faith. Next, um, also help me invite my colleague, Miss Edith Adera. She's a principal climate change and green growth officer at the African Development Bank. Edith is representing the project on empowering women and youth for entrepreneurship and job creation in climate adaptation and resilience. Joining us as well is Professor Nicholas Ozo, who is the Executive Director of the African Technology Policy Studies Network, who together with his partners, Pagda and Wagedi, they are implementing the project developing indexes for tracking nationally determined contributions implementation in 12 sub-Saharan African countries. And last, kindly help me welcome Dr. Tom Cadogan, who is the Director of Programs at Farm Africa, who is representing the Gender Transformative Climate Resilience Initiatives in Ethiopia. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. Show them some love. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for accepting our invitation to be part of this panel. So, in the next 20 minutes or so, we'll try to wrap this up in about 20 minutes. They are going to present their projects to you. And then we'll have a brief panel discussion. And then we'll turn things over to you, our audience, for any questions you may have. Um, in no particular order, um, well, I take that back. In a particular order, I will start with Professor Ozo. You can take the podium from here so that you can see your slides. This will be followed by Edith, Faith, and then finally Tom. The presentations will screen over there, so please keep your attention there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rita, for this wonderful introduction. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to listen to us regarding the project we implemented. Thank you. So I'll be very fast and brief because of time. Let me first of all thank the bank, use this opportunity to thank the bank for granting us this opportunity with the funding that we used. I also want to acknowledge our partners, the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, PACJA, and the West African Green Economy Development Institute based in Abuja, Nigeria. So our work looked at building the capacity of selected sub-Saharan African countries to effectively measure progress with the implementation of their nationally determined contributions using some tracking tools and indexes, which we uniquely developed. So in short, we call it tracking progress in NDC implementation in Africa using tools and indexes. And I am the executive director of the ATPS and also the PI of this project. So as we know, okay, thank you. As we know, the impact of climate change has necessitated several efforts to curb the catastrophic implications of this change. And one of the efforts made was the agreement reached in 2015 through the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit the global temperature rises to below 2%, and also preferably at 1.5 degrees Celsius, compared to prehistoric or pre-industrial levels. So in line with Article 4 of the Paris Agreement, the NDCs require that countries set their own targets, which they need, aim to achieve to be able to meet with adaptation, mitigation, and other components of this Paris Agreement. So NDC is one pathway that countries use to cut down these emissions that we want to be below or sustain at 1.5 degrees Celsius. So in the NDC implementation index that we developed, it is a unique tool which the purpose is to help us to track and evaluate how countries are able to meet their own targets. Remember that countries set their own targets by themselves, and we are not like saying this one has done exceedingly well or ranking countries because each country has set their own targets. So we measure the performance based on submitted targets through the NDC 2.0 and across the 5 components of this Paris Agreement: governance, MRV, mitigation, adaptation, finance, and technology. We also assigned weights for us to be able to get the index to these components, so that, and these weights were not arbitrary. They were based on rigorous research that we have done and piloted in 8 countries prior to this time around. So, based on also importance, relevance, and how it will help to achieve climate action and policies. So, having done this, the research or the study took place in countries. The list is there, and out of these, the key activities we conducted were mainly training up to 72 climate champions across the 12 countries, 6 per country. We conducted regional sensitization workshops, and we liaised with the climate champions, because when the director was talking and when the coordinator was talking, they talked about the need for capacity building. So we know that for us to be able to achieve this NDC implementation, we need to know how to collect NDC data. And so we trained 6 focal point champions in each of the countries, making it 72 for the 12. We also have published up to 12 policy briefs, and now hosted the first ever online NDC implementation index, which is in platform, ATPS platform. So the summary of our report or the findings is what you can see. Based on the 5 key components, we have seen how countries have performed across each of those components. Sometime in June, we have presented this also with the entire representatives from the entire countries. And most of them have seen why they performed well and why they did not perform well. What may have caused them to perform well across each of those components. But allow me to present that from all the components, the country that we're able to meet in terms of scoring, meeting their targets with Zimbabwe, Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana came tops. Sierra Leone, Zambia, Nigeria came down there because they have not been able to meet up with the targets that they set for themselves. So to summarize, actually, we found out that out of the 12 countries, they are in different categories, they are in different levels of implementation. But governance stands out as one of the key components that most countries have been able to achieve. If you look at the scoring, you find that most countries have been able to achieve higher scores under governance because they have set up institutions, policies, legislations to drive climate action and policies. So again is MRV. One of the key challenges we found was in data quality and data availability. Most countries do not have robust data, NDC data, across the sectors that they have identified, which they use to set their own targets. That was a problem. In terms of mitigation, one of the key limiting factor there was funding and some technological barriers that limited the countries from performance. On adaptation, countries have shown some tremendous progress in implementing adaptation efforts, but yet they have not been able to track it effectively. One of the worst or the lowly performing components across all the countries, if you can also see from the index there, is finance and technology. Finance and technology, because of maybe inadequate funds, and I'm happy that the bank said they are also building capacity of institutions and communities to be able to access climate finance, and as well scale up technological advancement and knowledge on how to adapt to the impact of climate change. So capacity issues, inconsistent data, limited participation of the private sector we are all recurring challenges in this. So in conclusion, and to enable us move forward, for countries to be able to meet with their emission targets, there is need to strengthen climate governance. Yes, most countries have been doing this. There's need to increase climate finance architecture so as to be able to access enough funds to support adaptation and mitigation efforts. Transparency and accountability, the issue of mainstreaming inclusivity in climate action. We found the issue of gender and youth participation in local climate action and policies have not been equitable. So we are saying that if we increase the opportunity to mainstream inclusivity and allow other gender to participate, that will be fine. Most importantly, building capacity and partnerships and empowering local people for climate action and private action in under the climate action and policies is very important. So we want to thank the ACCF for this opportunity offered us, and also invite us. We'll be having a side event tomorrow for more details of this presentation, because we are giving 5 minutes and we have to end in 5 minutes. But we are having 1 hour on tomorrow at M6 from 5:30 to 6:30. Kindly join us to have an elaborate information about this NDC implementation index. Thank you very much.
Can leave it there. Hello. I don't want to hear myself. Sometimes we get scared of hearing our own voices. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edith Adera. I work with the African Development Bank, and I'm the coordinator of the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, which is a partnership program. The slide has disappeared. Okay, good. So my presentation will focus on the Youth Adapt program, which helps to accelerate youth-led innovation in climate action. It's part of a larger program, which is called the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, which is trying to close the adaptation gap in the continent. So one of the pillars that we have is to look at how can we tap on the youth dividend and not see it as a challenge, but see it as an asset. So the faces that you see on the left, these are the enterprises that we've supported. We've supported 41 enterprises in 20 African countries. 8 of those enterprises are funded by the Africa Climate Change Fund. And the Africa Climate Change Fund was very bold, decided to support us to focus specifically on women who are in the climtech sector. So women that are using frontier technology to solve climate action. One may think that technology is too fancy for rural communities, but you'll actually see that they can't hear me. You can't hear me? Okay, somebody seems to have a problem. Okay. So let me know if you can't hear me. Okay. So one of the things that the fund that we got from the Africa Climate Change Fund helped us do is to actually show that women are making a difference in the climate change space. Okay. So I will look at the problem that we face, which is really not unique. We all know that Africa faces a dual challenge, and I'll call it a dual crisis of unemployment and also climate vulnerability.
we find that the youth bulge collides with climate crisis. We see case climate impacts are intensifying unemployment, where you have of droughts and floods. And then we find cases where youth are actually locked out of financial systems and skills development. When they want financing, they told they do not have the collateral. So these risks really make it very them. But what we have seen over time is that the youth do not see themselves as victims, but they actually were able through the Youth Adapt program to demonstrate that you can turn this victim mentality into climate action leaders. And we've seen this happening. So the way the Youth Adapt program operates is we go through a competitive call for proposal across the entire continent. And we look for enterprises. If you see on my right, we look for youth that are between 18 and 35. They have to be African. They have to be operating in Africa. So African businesses stationed in Africa. They have to be 2+ years old. For those in the entrepreneurship field, you know that between 2 and 5 years, that's when enterprises die. It's called the Valley of Death. And in between 2 and 5, there are very few funders who give financing to young people who have these kind of enterprises. We also look for enterprises that are registered, enterprises that have revenue, that are revenue generating, and they have a credible business model. And these are early stage enterprises. And the idea is to help them scale. They go through a competitive process, like I mentioned. We start with a gap analysis to see where do they have challenges. Is it in their governance? Is it in their financial management? Is it in their growth trajectory and growth strategy? And then we work to tailor training through an acceleration program. They get mentorship and they also get networking among themselves, but also with potential investors. For these enterprises, we have been giving them $100,000. What we see this money as a de-risking grant. These are grants that helps de-risk the enterprises and helps them be investor ready. I now want to take you through 3 very interesting and vibrant enterprises among the 8 that are being funded by the Africa Climate Change Fund. The first one is in DRC. Deborah operates Greencom. In DRC, Deborah is called as, oh, you see a different, oh, sorry. My slides are moving faster. Okay, let me start with Kenya. So in Kenya, we have the Onion Doctor, which is being led by Lucy Wangare. Lucy Wangare is a very bright young lady who has decided to go into the onion industry. And she particularly works in very harsh conditions in arid and semi-arid lands. She takes advantage of Internet of Things as well as intelligent smart irrigation systems to actually work with farmers to help them translate or degraded land into productive farmland, or rather transform degraded land into productive farmland. If you look at the picture on the left, that's what the condition looks like. Very arid and semi-arid parts of Kenya. And on the right, this is what you get. So she sells seedlings. She also provides services if anyone wants to go into onion farming, and she also provides training. And she takes advantage of the latest frontier technologies to be able to do so. The next enterprise is the enterprise in Democratic Republic of Congo, ETS Grencom, which is led by Deborah. In DRC Congo, she's known as the mother of bees. She's very vibrant, very passionate. She's been managing bees since she was 5 years old with her mother. And when her mother passed on, she took over business from the mother. So what Deborah does is she uses big data, connects the big data, connects it through the internet mobile network into the beehives so that she's able to monitor the temperatures. She's able to monitor humidity and the very important climate elements that are needed for aquaculture. She works through a very unique model. She works through cooperatives, so that way she's able to reach large numbers. Her model is also very interesting. She has an app. She has an online platform. So the app, the farmers are able to actually monitor their hives. They don't have to go to the bush. They're able to know where they need to take action, and they can also monitor the portal. She's able to monitor the portal across the country where her beehives are. She has come up with a model where she has a business at the app level. She has business at the portal level, and then she also has business in selling the hives. So her business model is very functional, very bankable, and does give her money. She's been able to increase her revenue quite significantly. And so currently she works with about 1,200 members of 23 cooperatives. The next one is in Zambia, Chapiko, led by Miriam Chapi. This is a very unique model as well. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I'm struggling to manage both because it's very difficult to read from this angle. So Chapiko is a very unique model as well. It provides energy through pay-as-you-go services for clean energy for women smallholders. An IoT-enabled pay-as-you-go platform connected to microfinance institutions that provide financing to the women farmers, and they can pay over time. And this has helped them use the energy for agriculture. Overall, for the 41 enterprises that we've supported, what I would say is the results that you get from young people, from their innovation, the turnaround is very fast. Within 2-3 years, you see results. And I call it the three triple dividends. One, they increase their income. Two, they create jobs. And three, they build resilience at the grassroots level. So with a $5.4 million that we have put in for the entire program, 1 million from the African Climate Change Fund, we've actually been able to support 41 enterprises in 20 countries. So far, we have managed to target 61% of the enterprises are women. They've generated 11,000 jobs, both direct and indirect. They have leveraged an additional $7 million over and above what we have put in. And they've also been able to double their revenue growth. And a number of them have also been able to expand into international markets. I'd like to, oh, sorry, I didn't show those numbers. So those are the numbers just for you to have a feel of the numbers. Okay. And then I would like to conclude with this slide. And this is a very critical slide. One of the things that we have noticed is that you can give the de-risking grants to enterprises, but once they have that level of growth, they need additional financing and they need other services. And therefore, supporting enterprises in just one stage is not enough. You need to support them throughout the value chain. The second lesson we have learned is financial sustainability is very critical. We've seen cases where enterprises run from one competition to another. Therefore, they need to be weeded out of grants mechanism to actually get them to blended finance. So ensuring that the risking grants we give are based on meeting specific milestones and that we are graduating them towards blended finance. I've also talked about tailoring support for different growth stages. One size does not fit all. Partnership is key. We have realized that you need to work with other partners We need to use an ecosystem approach to supporting enterprises, ensuring we have financiers. Like for the case of DRC, we work with microfinance institutions. We make sure we have innovation hubs that actually nurture these young people, and that we also have the ecosystem support and the policy support that's required. Based on the lessons that we have learned, we have now developed a new Youth Adapt model that will actually look at enterprises at idea stage all the way to investment ready stage, those that are ready to close financial deals. And this is very critical because sometimes you have young people who are very innovative. They probably want to get into a green job or they want to get into entrepreneurship. So we'll be looking at the new model. We'll have an academy, Youth Adapt Academy. It will have a launch pad for starters. It will have an accelerator, which is the enterprises we have been supporting. Then it will have the growth stage enterprise. So we'll actually be looking at supporting our long value chain. And then we'll also have an alumni network, which will allow them to among themselves and also with enterprise, with other investors. So with that, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Faith Gikunda from an organization known as ICASA. ICASA stands for Inclusive Climate Change Adaptation for Sustainable Africa. So I am here to present a project that is very close to my heart, a project that has transformed how I view adaptation and how I view inclusion in terms of climate action. Slides, please. I think.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm here to present about a project that we are undertaking. The project is known as Strengthening Voices of Women with Disabilities to Actively Participate in Climate Change Policy and Negotiations. That is TRIVO. This project is being implemented in 12 African countries, and it's a blend of countries. It's designed in that way to enable learning amongst the countries and also to enable strengthening of our interventions and how we work on disability inclusion. And just to mention is that the project is specifically on women with disabilities. And the reason why we chose that, it's because we realize that women with disabilities are very vulnerable when it comes to climate issues, when it comes to climate impacts. And we felt that it was about time that we gave them a platform where they can be able to build their capacity, where they can be able to interact and also build unique interventions that are suitable for them. Okay, multitasking. All right, so the main objective of this project is to ensure that women with disabilities are actively involved in policy-making processes and negotiations, both at the sub-national level, at the national level, and at the global level. And to enable that, the objective is to enhance the technical skills and the leadership capabilities of the women, because we felt that it's not fair enough to speak about disability inclusion and not involve the women themselves and by enabling them to have the technical capacity that can help them participate in the policy and negotiation platforms. So that is the main objective, to enable their capacity and also to bring them to the platforms where they can be involved in the decision making. The other objectives is to promote gender balance and inclusive climate decision-making processes. And this again is inclined to women with disabilities, where we believe that for the gender balance to be achieved, there is a need for intersectionality, where we look at women not as just a big group or an homogeneous group, where we look at women with disabilities as a group that needs specialized attention, that needs specialized interventions, and that needs to speak for themselves. Then the last objective is to create a safe and supportive platforms for women with disabilities to advocate for their rights and interest in climate policy. How do we do this? How we've done this is that we've been able to design or to develop a disability inclusive platform that the women with disabilities are able to interact. They are able to share their experiences and also to share their views. As we go on, I'll be able to show you what has been done in that and put more into perspective the platforms. Then the components of the project, that is how we ensure that the objectives are met. Of course, it's through the trainings of the women with disabilities and also bringing them to the spaces where the negotiation and policy making processes happen. And I would like to give an example of this summit that is happening. We are here with 11 women with disabilities from 8 countries that we've brought to be able to experience how the summit happens, to interact with the policy making processes, to interact with the discussions that are going on, so that when they are going to negotiate for their inclusion, they are well informed and they are aware of what happens in the various spaces. Then the other component is supporting, of course, in participating in the policy processes. I've already mentioned that. And the other thing is on development of engagement frameworks. I would just like to briefly mention that when we were starting off, we undertook an assessment. And in this assessment, we were looking at the 12 countries where the project is being implemented. And we realized that there is no formal way of engaging women with disabilities in climate action, and the need for developing an engagement framework emerged. And it's a process that is going on right now where we are involving the women and other stakeholders to be able to develop an engagement framework that will help better engagement of women with disabilities. Then, of course, there is the aspect of building alliances. And I would like to mention in this, we've been able to support the development, or rather an alliance of women with disabilities in climate action in Africa that we are calling AWAC. And this alliance mainly is to be able to bring women with disabilities together, the entire disability community, and also stakeholders that are working in that space. And even without that space, that is outside the space, to be able to come together, listen to the experiences of the women, listen to the experiences of other stakeholders that are working within the space, and come up with and co-create solutions that are quite specific to the different disabilities. Then, of course, the other aspect is the packaging and dissemination of evidence materials. That is at national, regional, and at the global level. And for us, this is quite key because we realized that as much as we want the women to be involved in the policy-making processes and the negotiation processes, there was, there lacked like materials that could inform the process, that is disability-friendly materials. And what we are doing is that we are packaging these materials in a language that is best suited for disability understanding, and also packaging them in formats that are disability-friendly. Of course, this is quite a tough task because of course, translating or putting a document that is more than one page into Braille or other disability formats, it's not easy, but I believe that we will be able to get there slowly by slowly. Then finally, we've been advocating for translation of UNFCCC decisions into disability-friendly formats, because again, as we were doing the assessment, we realized that the materials that are in the UNFCCC platforms are not quite disability friendly. I know something has been is being done about that, and we are glad to have informed the process of disability inclusion at the UNFCCC. And we are hopeful that by the time we get to COP30, at least we'll have made significant steps in ensuring that even people with disability can easily access some of the materials, even if not all. Okay, so far through the project, this is what we've been able to do. Of course, we've done quite a lot, but I'm highlighting on some of the key things that we've been able to achieve. One, it was the launch of the African Alliance of Women with Disabilities in Climate Action. And this alliance has attracted a lot of attention, not only in the 12 countries that we are working, but we've had other participants from African countries and even outside African countries. And we are really glad that finally we are able to bring women with disabilities, the disability community, and other stakeholders to be able to speak in one voice through this platform. Then the other output that we've had so far, we've been able to undertake over 25 online dialogues on different topical issues on disability inclusion. And in these dialogues, what I would like to mention is that we engage people with disabilities to tell their stories, to tell their experiences, and the possible solutions that they feel are best suited for them. The other key aspect of this is that we ensure in every dialogue that we have, it's disability inclusive, where we have sign language interpreters or any other support that the people with disability require for them to be able to participate in online dialogues. Then we've also been able to support a delegation of women with disabilities to participate in the UNFCCC processes. One was last year's COP29, where we took a delegation of 6 women with disabilities together with their aides, because again, for disability is quite specialized, that you have to support them to participate in these spaces by even including a support system, which means it's their aides to accompany them to these processes. Of course, it's a very expensive process, but again, it's a process that has been able to give us quite positive feedback, because they are now able to participate actively in the platform because they have people that can support them in understanding and also passing their messages. Then in the SB 62 that was undertaken in Bonn in June, we were also able to support a woman with disability to be able to participate in the process. And out of this process, we managed to give to participate in a fact-finding mission that will inform COP30 in terms of disability inclusion. We have developed materials in regards to that. We've developed some of the recommendations that we made to the Brazil government in terms of making COP30 more disability inclusive. Then the other output so far is that we've undertaken training of journalists and editors in regards to disability reporting, because we realized that there are terms that are used when doing news and when reporting that are not disability friendly and end up kind of stigmatizing the people with disability and not giving them any support. So this training for us was quite important, because it helped the people, that the media who we rely on to shape opinion, to be able to understand disability better in relation to climate action. Then, of course, now we come to the disability inclusive platform. Through the project, we've been able to develop an online platform that is disability inclusive, to enable stakeholders to interact with the women with disabilities. And again, I mentioned, as much as the project is for women with disabilities, we engage all persons with disabilities, because we believe that even their opinions are able to shape to shape the interventions for the women with disabilities. Then finally, we are currently undertaking a process of developing engagement frameworks for women with disabilities in climate action. Sorry for that. And we've been able so far to engage 3 countries, that is Kenya, Uganda, and South Sudan. The process is going on. Again, because of resources, we are not able to develop for all the 12 countries, but we believe the 3 countries that we will develop the framework for will be able to inform the others and also shape how women with disabilities are engaged. Okay, finally, I would like to end my presentation with a call to action. And the call to action is to, first of all, request everyone that is here, whenever you're doing your programming, please consider disability inclusion, even if not designing a whole project that is disability inclusive, but at least ensure that there is inclusion in your project so that we ensure that everyone is brought on board. So why women with disabilities matter in climate action? First is because they are frontline survivors and they are hit hardest by floods, droughts, and food insecurity. So it's necessary that we involve them. It's necessary that we engage them in a designing of our programs so that they can be able to inform the interventions. Then they are custodians of solutions, and their experiences offer unique insights on adaptation and resilience. Since they have the lived experiences, they are better informed to inform that. Then they are champions of justice, of course, in climate justice, where gender, disability, and poverty must be addressed. People with disability happen to be champions as well because they champion for their rights and inclusivity of their agenda. Then, of course, the innovation of they are drivers of innovation, because for interventions to be inclusive, it's necessary to engage people with the lived experiences, and that is why we call them drivers of innovation. Then, of course, they are builders of resilient communities, and by involving them ensures that no one is left behind. So with that, I wish to say thank you for taking the time to listen in, and I believe that we will continue championing for disability inclusion. Thank you. Okay.
Just check you can all hear me. Fantastic. Good afternoon. Tenesteling Abarizenu. Bonjour. My name is Dr. Tom Cadogan, Director of Programs of Farm Africa, based in Nairobi, here on behalf of my fantastic Ethiopian colleagues who are currently with our Ethiopian government colleagues on a landscape model in Oromia. So this is, and thank you very much to Rita and the team at ACCF, together with generous support from GAC and everybody else. This has been a fantastic opportunity for us to actually prove it's possible to access multilateral funding and get it down into a community adaptation scenario. So this is a $1 million initiative currently ongoing, 9 months in process, targeting about over 37,000 direct beneficiaries, mainly women, youth, and female-headed households in Afar and Oromia regions. The objective, and I will try and move it along, is, and I won't, for time, I won't go into the whole contextual problem, but the key objective is to foster climate resilience development by actually transforming gender dynamics in semi or agropastoralist communities. So essentially, the project is based and founded upon the principle that gender equality is a prerequisite to effective climate resilience. Key highlights over this period, and we're working together with the fantastic Population Health Ethiopia and the Women's and Children's Association. So we're also fostering local partner capacity and due diligence. So it's not just Farm Africa, it's actually building up the capacity of local partners in the particular regions. some of the highlights, which will be clear coming through in a short period of time, already one essential aspect of the inception phase was to conduct a comprehensive gender and contextual power analysis. And this really looked at going down into the deep insights into the gender dynamics, the climate vulnerabilities, and institutional landscapes. Now, the impact of that was more important than you think, because it completely adjusted the gender action plan of the intervention, its theory of change, and its logical or results framework. So it's very important. It essentially means that any subsequent activities are precisely targeted to address the root causes of inequality and vulnerability. A couple of other areas, so it's a combination of an integrated approach. So one key area here is we're utilizing essentially a pioneering methodology of Farm Africa called participatory rangeland management, pioneered by Farm Africa and SOS Sahel, our colleagues, over the past 35, 40 years. And that has been targeting the formation of 3 rangeland sites, approximately over 1,100 hectares, forming 3 participatory rangeland management cooperatives, which have over 50% membership of women, 630 members, and in a landmark achievement precisely because of the gender contextual analysis, all elected cooperative chairpersons are women. Now, the intended impact of that is that we're essentially looking at how you can increase dry biomass, increase it on the land, improve livestock health, and enhance carbon sequestration. Another key element of has been the setup of the village saving loans authorities and groups. 26 already set up out of 30, surpassing the 676 active women members. And this is targeting financial inclusion, providing the capital needed for women to actually invest in climate smart livelihoods. And it's a first step towards increasing women's access to and control over financial resources. So that's more important than it looks in actually in a lead in over to Edith's earlier presentation. This is really the de-risking principle at a village and at a community level, which is required on a graduation pathway. And for ourselves at Farm Africa, it's very important. It helps people practice a revolving loan fund principle of paying back the money which they have borrowed and then protecting household assets. It has relevance, and I'll come on to it a bit later in terms of the challenges in terms of how such methodologies and improved business advisory or de-risking can actually then move across into assisting with microfinance institutions and affordable micro products, be they of a microinsurance nature or of a financial nature. And another element, and I'll just finish there and come on to the other, is on innovative climate services. So what we're talking about here is improving the climate vulnerability assessment highlighted the need for improved weather information forecasts and agro-advisory services via SMS directly to the pastoralist communities themselves. The intended impact of that is to optimize their livestock and crop management, but also enhance preparedness for climate variability such as drought and floods. So that's some of the areas and key areas which we're looking forward at the moment. We're key for this, and this maybe gets us onto the panel discussion, is how this is targeting. We see this initiative, some of the challenges in climate adaptation work, particularly when devised by very well-meaning financial institutions, are often exclude. They require a lot of formal accreditation. So we're trying to bridge that gap. And so it's recognizing that actually the fabric of facilitating effective climate adaptation and resilience work is in the savings groups, in the civil society, in the microfinance institutions, and in the micro and small businesses that spend the money for those communities. That's a critical precept, and that's where we can also see potential solutions for scale. Because you can tailor it to particular contexts. It might be a drought risk insurance product, as this would be in Afar, but it also means you might be looking for insurance products for tree nurseries in Tanzania. So I'll leave it there in the interest of time, Rita. I'll hand back over. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much, our panelists. I think you needed to be here to hear from them. And as someone who firmly believes in the value of providing grant resources for climate action, these examples, I mean, I feel like a proud mom. It's easier for us to, hear directly from you on the kinds of projects that you're doing, and which I believe, even though they are small, have meaningful impact. They are able to get us one step forward, and then with large resources, we can even do more. In the interest of time, we were supposed to have I had some questions from the panel, but I'm just going to give you 1 minute each. Just share with us from your own perspectives, maybe 1 minute, just to say something that you really wanted to say in terms of your project and left out. 1 minute each, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to reflect on a few lessons. I'll just say 3 points. One of the things that we observed across the enterprises in Africa is that when they build local and address the real solutions on the ground, and particularly work with the key stakeholders, government, and get local buy-in and build bottom up, it was more sustainable. But it's very, very critical that we embed youth innovations in these large government investment projects, including MDBs, like the African Development Bank, where we are trying to solve mega solutions, where we are putting billions of dollars. Let's have the youth develop those innovations, because they have those innovations, but they do not have the space to actually scale it. My last point is on financing. What we notice is that when, for the enterprises that are very successful, they put their money in big investments that allowed them to scale. So there were very critical investments that they would otherwise not be able to afford if they did not have the grant. And because they've invested in the core equipment, for example, that they require, or capital that they require, it has allowed them to scale. And so post grant support, they need to be connected to a continuum of financing or different financing instruments. Equity, debt, guarantees is absolutely critical. And that's why the bank's Youth Entrepreneurship Investment banks, which is actually designed for young people, is very important, because it allows young people to go to a bank that is youth friendly and that can provide them the range of instruments that they require.
All right. Let me put on these chokes. Okay. So one thing I would like to mention is that through the experience of this project is that disability inclusion is possible. However, there is a very long way to go, because even when I look at this summit that we are in, there is a lot that is lacking in terms of disability inclusion. And as much as we would like to expose or to engage people with disabilities in decision-making processes, and so in similar spaces like this, without giving them the correct tools that they require to participate in such spaces, then our efforts will not have many fruits, or rather they'll be quite slow. So it's important to think as African leaders, as opinion shapers, as people that are involved in programming, to at least ensure that as much as we are talking about inclusivity and putting the word disability in our policies, let's bring these tools to the people that need them most, so that they can be able to participate in the spaces where their voices need to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Thank you very much. For our project, we feel very proud that we, in partnership with the ACCF, have been able to develop the first ever NDC tracking tool and index for Africa. And I can tell you that since launching this tool in Addis in June this year, many countries, it has started creating the impact we want it to create in terms of making countries to understand where they are failing in meeting their emission targets. Countries like Nigeria, for instance, from the day we presented this result, we are not very comfortable. But as we speak, the head of the Climate Council has already called meetings and they have identified the areas where they are not doing well, especially in data and in financing, as well as adaptation and mitigation. And with this, they are kind of closing the holes where they have not been able to perform well. And this is exactly the kind of ripple effect we want to create. It's not like it is a competition among countries, but for countries to use this as an evidence, to use the index to see where they belong, and I mean the level where they are, and the errors they may have committed, and the deficiencies they may have in across the components that they have set targets for, and now set out to make those corrections and improve on their performance. Again, to show that this project is very impactful. Many countries that did not participate because we covered only 12 countries. So many countries have been coming to us to ask us that they would want to participate in the next edition of this tracking and reporting of their performance in terms of meeting emission targets. And I'll take it back to the bank to say that we are receiving a lot of requests from other countries. Out of the 55 African countries, we only did 12, kind of 4 sub-region of sub-Saharan Africa. So we're also calling on the bank and all the development partners to support us to scale the project to cover the rest of Africa so that it can become a kind of one-stop shop for knowing or measuring progress in NDC implementation in Africa. Thank you very much.
Takeaways would be, Rita, enhance and focus on local climate resilient systems. And that's the key focus which we have. I think there's a tendency, I've heard it by maybe not the fund itself, but certainly maybe the bank and other multilateral institutions. It's a smaller fund, it's a smaller. If you focus on local climate resilient systems, which are there, you will have massive scale. That's an undeniable fact. The other element is of 30 years of working in the region is the opportunities for women's financial inclusion, and the transformation that occurs at a community level and national level is critical. They, through the systems and revolving loan funds, are by far the best financial managers and treasurers in respective communities. If we can tap into that and bridge this formal finance gap, then I think there's an amazing opportunity to be had.
All right, thank you very much, panelists. Let me now turn over to our very attentive audience. I'm sure you have some questions. In the interest of time, we'll have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. So please, you have 50 seconds. My colleague Fanta will hold on to the roving mic, the roaming mic. I'm told if you hold on, the person will not hijack it and ask questions for 5 minutes. So 30 seconds. Please tell us your institution, your name, your institution, and your question. If you have a comment, please be very direct. You can direct it to any of our panelists. Thank you.
Can it be directed to you as well, as a moderator from ACCF? Okay. My name is Hassan. I'm actually based in Rwanda. We kind of like do mass housing And some of the things that we try to work with institutions is how we can adapt the way we actually the way that we actually deliver mass housing by implementing the innovative technology within the built development. I mean, the built environment contribute almost 40% of greenhouse emissions, but yet when private developers try to sort of like work with whether it's government institutions or agencies or what have you, we are always facing a brick wall because you are basically passed from ministries to agencies, from agencies to agencies, and then you kind of like think to yourself, why am I even bothering to build green? I can just do business as usual and deliver the way that we know it. So my question is, what are the mechanisms put in place for private sectors such as us who are actually influencing the built environment?
Right, thank you very much for your question. Can we have the next question?
Uh, Thank you very much. My name is Nuhu Yakubu Chai from Nigeria. My questions, one, in terms of the data tracking, is there a dashboard that the general public can have access to this data? And secondly, again, all the projects, since they are across different countries, is there a form of peer review mechanism that will allow a cross-cultural learning? And my last question is about the enterprises, especially in terms of those who are able to put their money in investment that will allow them to scale up. Can we have an example? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your question. Um, any other questions?
Thank you very much. My question is towards to Farm Africa. I know some of the area where you are working in Afar and Oromia. One of the problem is invasive species, especially Prosopis tuliflora. Is there any initiative that Farm Africa is working to turn this invasive species to opportunity, particularly targeting youth and women? And the second question is to Rita. We have submitted the HCF. Yes, the concept note was approved, and we are expecting that the result. When did we, or when the result will be announced? I'm from Sierra Leone, by the way.
All right, nice to meet you. Thank you for your question. Any other questions on this side?
Yeah, thank you very much. My question is to Rita. Is there a way the funding time can be shortened when somebody apply for funding? Is there a way it can be shortened so that it delivered on time based on the challenges that already identified? Because sometimes it takes longer, and by the time you get the funding, things have changed. So you have to recalibrate again.
Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
My name is Fred Kongongo. I'm from United Nations Industrial Development Organization.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take one last question. So if you have a burning, can we take the lady here? I want to take it. Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Precious Kalompana. I'm from Zambia. I represent my organization called Citizens Network for Community Development Zambia. My question goes to all the panelists. Are you including young girls or children in all your projects that you're doing? I've just seen that you are including people with disability and also youths and women. Are you also including young children in your projects? Thank you.
All right, thank you for your question. Do you have a burning question you can ask? We'll take you last.
Okay, my name is Msundo Makanya. I'm from South Africa. Okay, I'm with the organization South African Waste Speakers Association. Okay, I've heard here say they were talking about agriculture. I wanted to know that even in waste speakers, they are included. They can be funded also because last time when I checked, they also play a part on climate change. They reduce methane gas in the landfill side and the street. So I don't know whether they have got chances to be funded.
quickly respond to the number of questions placed here?
I will address those. So just quickly, whichever one you want to address.
Okay. So I'll address two of the questions. One is to do with whether enterprises put in their own money to scale. And I'd like to give a very practical example of an enterprise that we supported in Malawi. It was at the heart of COVID. His enterprise was doing so badly that it had gone down to a one single person enterprise. He lost everything and literally went back to his father's home with his family. I've never had in my life a man who goes back and takes his family to his home. I've always heard of women going back. But what is interesting is that the funding we gave him, which was a grant, what we are calling the risking grant, he's actually been able to turn it around because he was very strategic in where he invested. This is an enterprise that provides community-based distributed water systems. He had worked in the water sector for about 20 years and realized that all water systems, after the donors left, would collapse. So he started a very unique model where he's able to pull water from many kilometers away to build. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I will just say how he turned his business around. He was very strategic in where he invested the grant that he got from the African Climate Change Fund. He decided to invest it in capital that would allow his business to grow, one of which was a drilling machine that can drill up to 650 meters. So that brings him a lot of cash. He's been able to increase his staff from one person to 45 fully employed staff. He's an engineer, water engineer, and he's also been able to have about 4 businesses. And one unique thing that I saw about him is that he invests in his own business. He sees himself as an investor of community networks, because in Malawi, you're allowed to have distributed community systems that are owned and run by the community, but you provide support to them. The second one that I'd like to respond to is whether we involve children. I would say children are involved as beneficiaries. And I'll give a very quick example of a project funded in Kenya. It's in the North Hor, which is the north part of Kenya. It's one of the driest part on earth. It's as dry as, which is this planet where Elon Musk wants to take us to? Mars. It's as dry as Mars. In fact, they actually have a station that has been established with a partnership with the US to actually test climate solutions that would allow people to live in Mars. So the solution that she has introduced is for a school that has been struggling to get water, because this is an area that has 9 months of no water. They have to travel many kilometers for water, and most of the water is polluted or has chemicals. So she captures moisture and translates that into water, potable water. And that has been established in schools. And the children now do not have to go long distance to get water. And when we visited the place, the children were very happy because then they do not miss school. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to respond on inclusion of girls and children in the interventions that are being undertaken. And I wish to confirm that that is being done. I would like to mention that in quite a number of the partners that we are working with, because we work through partners, quite a number of them are networks of women and girls with disabilities. Like we are working with a network of Kenya, network of women and girls with disabilities that is in Kenya, in Burundi as well, and in Malawi as well. It has the aspect of women and girls. And how this happens is that the women act as mentors to the girls. They found a way of encouraging each other and showcasing to the girls that indeed it's possible to be a woman and with disability and still actively participate in what is happening within the community. So that is being done, and we would like to continue enhancing it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will talk to the direct questions from Nigeria. You're talking about the NDC tracking tool. It is online. I've shown the web link during my presentation, where you can log in and actually see for yourself how and where countries stand in terms of their performances, uh, with reference to the 5 components and what indicators that we are used against the weights that we are assigned to each of the components. So also for sustainability sake, we have mainstreamed this into the ATPS programs, and so it will run for a longer time, and while we continue to seek for additional funding to use the available data that will be coming in subsequent years to upgrade this index based on countries' performance. Regarding the issue of addressing structural inequalities, actually in our own project is not that we target children, but we adopt the core principles of locally led adaptation efforts to ensure that we integrate all gender, both men, women, girls, boys, people living with disability into our programs. Then lastly, with reference to the green housing that is being done in Rwanda, as much as I know that Rwanda has one of the best ease of doing business in Africa, and so what I may suggest is an advocacy program, because your efforts can attract some incentives for you, tax incentives, and also facilitate the scaling or government efforts to develop policies that will enable you to function effectively without those hitches in from one agency to another. Uh, they used to tell us is 24-hour ease of doing business if you want to register businesses in Rwanda. So I don't know whether it has changed, but I think it's still one of the best on the continent. Thank you.
Thanks for my friend from Sierra Leone. Howdy, buddy. Yes, no, it will depend.
End of our session. Let me invite Mrs. Claude Laundry. She's the head of Global Affairs Canada Corporation for Pan-African and Regional Development Program, and an important partner and donor to the ACCF. Over to you, Claude.